Hello, and welcome to this preview of transportation in the year 2050. We appreciate your interest in Central Florida's future. I'm Gary Huttman, the Executive Director for MetroPlan Orlando. We are the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties. We bring together local governments and other transportation leaders from across our region to help us find solutions for our many transportation challenges. Recently, we hosted a public event to introduce our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or our MTP. Folks were able to learn how we plan for the future and ask us questions about the areas that interest them the most. If you weren't able to attend the public meeting, we have put together a version of the information that you can watch at your leisure. This slideshow will guide you through our 2050 plan and tell you how you can participate in the process. Thanks for your time, and please let us hear your thoughts on planning transportation for Central Florida in 2050.
Think of Central Florida's Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP, as a journey to the year 2050. Launched in spring 2024, we are rapidly headed towards destination approval in December 2025. But before we get there, let's take a look at the journey so far and how you can be part of it. As the region's Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, MetroPlan Orlando guides this journey, working together with elected officials, technical experts, and the community to set priorities and determine how federal and state transportation dollars are spent. One of our most important tasks is to set the transportation vision 25 years into the future. That's the role of the MTP, which we're updating through the year 2050. The MTP isn't just a wish list. It must be cost feasible, meaning it fits within our expected budget. While the MTP is our long-term vision for the region, it directly connects to the 5-year Transportation Improvement Plan, or TIP, where projects already have funding set aside. Bridging the MTP and the TIP is our prioritized project list, which contains projects reflecting the community's needs and are most likely to be funded next. Planning the 2050 MTP is a huge job with 5 basic parts: evaluating how we use our transportation system today, developing shared goals and objectives for how we want the system to be in 2050, given the drivers of change or future trends that may affect it. A lot of technical analysis on transportation needs, outlining which projects could reasonably be accomplished within 25 years for our cost-feasible plan, and including public and partner feedback so we have consensus when the plan is ultimately adopted by the MetroPlan Orlando Board. The 2050 plan includes 20 chapters that outline the methods, processes, and findings across the key facets of transportation, including congestion, health, housing, environment, freight, transit, and finance. These chapters are all available on our website. Now let's look at the collaborative process, how feedback from our partners, board, and committee members, and the public has helped shape the core elements of the 2050 MTP. The MTP is guided by 5 goals: safety, reliability, connectivity, community, and prosperity, and is supported by 15 objectives. These build on the 2045 MTP goals and were developed after reviewing plans from other MPOs as well as federal and state goals. Input was also gathered at public workshops, events, and through surveys. Our transportation needs assessment looks at the ways we will move people and goods throughout the region over the next 25 years. We can't ignore the options we use today, like cars, buses, trains, bicycles, walking, or wheelchairs. And we must also consider how we could travel in the future: autonomous or connected vehicles, and advanced air mobility. This is how the MTP makes sure everyone can get around the region. What improvements would you like to see? We worked closely with the local agencies and the public to shape our transportation to-do list. We identified more than 2,900 transportation needs that spread across 13 categories, from active transportation to roads and transit. Here are the needs that qualify for Metro Plan Orlando funding, broken into 8 categories. Projects differ in size and cover every type of travel mode and facility serving residents and visitors. This is our transportation wish list, which includes a lot of projects that don't have funding. The cost to build everything on this list of eligible projects would be about $26.6 billion. And since we don't have that much revenue, we have to use a process to decide how to pay for the most needed transportation improvements. Just like a household budget, when everything we want can't be covered by the cash on hand, we must prioritize. Using our needs assessment as our transportation to-do list, we set the priorities within the 2050 MTP, guided by our goals, public feedback, federal and state performance measures, and data. The 2050 MTP is a $35.4 billion plan, including $26.3 billion in federal, state, and local funded projects, and another $9.1 billion in projects funded with tolls by the Central Florida Expressway Authority and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. The plan includes projects from years 2031 through 2050. Now, let's look at an estimated annual breakdown of spending beginning in fiscal year 2031. These buckets show major sources of funding. The largest share, the red bucket, are federal and state funds to cover projects on the state highway system like widening, urban corridor improvements, and bicycle and pedestrian improvements. The smallest bucket, or other projects, cover improvements implemented by the Florida Department of Transportation in cooperation with Metro Plan Orlando and local governments. These projects are not on the state highway system. The navy bucket is federal funds used to implement the MPO's priorities. These projects are off the state highway system, implemented by local governments, and are based on the MPO board's established funding policy. Finally, the yellow bucket for transit includes funds from the Federal Transit Administration based on a formula for operations, maintenance, and capital expenditures on bus and rail. Now let's look at the spending in the Navy bucket. Based on feedback from our board, committees, government partners, and the public, we established an MPO funding policy. The 2050 MTP adds a standalone category for safety-focused work targeting the high-injury network. This figure shows the policy categories and estimated average annual allocations starting in fiscal year 2031. The documentation and planning steps we recommend live in the cost-feasible plan, which incorporates results of these 4 separate MTP components: needs assessment, project prioritization, revenue forecasts, and funding policy. The development of these components are discussed in their own 2050 plan chapters. That's an overview of the draft 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Full chapters, supplemental material, and a record of our journey to 2050 are posted on our website at metroplanorlando.gov/2050. There, you can dive into the sections that most interest you as you use our interactive 2050 MTP multimodal viewer to explore some of the needs identified across the region. Since we began this journey, we've heard from a lot of people in Central Florida. Our partners at Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties, all 20 cities in our region, Lynx, Sunrail, 3 airport authorities, toll road agencies, and dozens of stakeholders with interests in particular parts of the 2050 plan. We've talked to hundreds of residents across the area, but we aren't finished because we haven't heard from you. Although the draft plan is posted, we're still collecting thoughts and ideas about transportation in 2050. You can share your comments by email, phone message, or letter through November 21st. All feedback received will be shared with the Metro Plan Orlando board members at the December 10th meeting before they vote on the plan. The public is also welcome to offer comments at that meeting. Thanks again for your interest in the future of Central Florida. Want to know what your friends and neighbors think about the 2050 plan? Stay tuned for some takeaways from a few who attended our public meeting.
If we don't get in front of our growth, we don't get in front of our transportation needs, we're going to have heck to pay.
In terms of personal recommendations, regardless of funding, it would be a Sunrail line along the 408. That highway has had so much congestion over the years. It's been bad even prior to the 408 I-4 Ultimate project. It's been bad then, it's still bad now. And a rail line would help out a lot.
We have to find ways to do transit-oriented design and some of the other things that have been so successful and figure out how to get people to be willing to do something other than get in their car.